Let me start off by saying, it may not seem like it, but I am a part of a minority. No, it's not by the color of my skin or by a disability I have, although there are a few. It is by my sexuality. Now, you guys must be so tired of hearing about LGBT stuff all the time. What with the safe spaces, what with the trigger words, things like that. But I am a very uncommon phenomenon in the world. I'll just say it now. I am asexual. Now, before you make a joke about plants, let it be known that is not what we are. We are people that just don't really feel too much. Well, let me tell you about our flag at least, or at least the points we will be going over. First will be the black stripe, also known as the asexuals or our history. The next will be the gray stripe, which will be umbrella terms, words that you may have not heard, or if you have, it's very sparing. Next will be the white stripe, with just a few questions you might have. Of course, very general and, might be a little strange to hear, especially coming from someone who is very young. But lastly, I will be talking about our royal purple stripe, the community that I have. Once again, you call me a plant, that's one way to get any asexual so very angry. Now, you might be wondering, what even is an asexual? What the heck does it mean? Who are we? Well, asexual, without wanting to reproduce or having no sexual feelings. By that, I mean, as a person, I do not I don't find anybody sexually attractive. Like, see that cute boy over there? I like his hair. See that cute girl? She's wearing a dress. I like it. But I do not look at someone and think, wow, my one goal is to have sex with them. It's not my thing. It's a very difficult topic most of the time, because most people do not understand it. Which kind of makes me feel a bit like Mike Wazowski here. Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. Next, we need to talk about the kinds of love that we actually experience. Now, while there isn't sexual love for us, there are different kinds of love. One would be platonic. I want to be friends with that person so badly. I want the greatest friendship with them. But we aren't just emotionless creatures. We do feel romantic love. I could fall in love with that guy and I would not even know what to do with my life. But there's also beauty, aesthetic love. I could fall just for someone's beautiful looks and not even realize it until after I think about it. But we should also talk about our founder. This is David J. He started a, company, but not really, an unofficial asexual company called AVEN. AVEN is an acronym for Asexual Visibility and Education Network, meaning that there is a giant community that this man started, and according to the Huffington Post, David J. was, in a way, the first asexual. What I mean by that is he was one of the first people to openly identify on the ace spectrum. The word spectrum will be used later. Now, Jay only found out about asexuality after being so confused about his for years. It took up until freshman year in college for him to actually see an actual essay on what it was, on something he identified with, something he had never heard before outside of just plant biology. And honestly, I don't think we can blame the fact that he found out who he was just from one simple thing. It's amazing. How many people do you know that can do that? Look at one simple thing and just go, I didn't know that was me too. It's beautiful. Well, next will be our gray stripe. Now, the umbrella terms could be a bit confusing. They would be demisexuality and gray asexual. These are definitely confusing terms, even for someone like me who is still on this spectrum. Demisexuality is it's the feeling of only being able to form a loving relationship through just a close bond. So let's say a demisexual person finds someone and they're like, wow, they are my greatest friend in the world. I think I'm falling for them. They're definitely demisexual at that point. And no, not everybody is. But we have also got gray asexuals or gray aces. Gray asexuals are definitely different to the asexual spectrum in the fact that, well, they can have sexual feelings for another person, but it does not make them any less asexual. What it is the fact that it's a giant spectrum even just for them. What they do is you cannot pinpoint what the heck a gray asexual is on a spectrum. If it were black and white, there's somewhere, could be near to the white, could be in the gray, could be black, it doesn't matter. They are still asexual. Now, there is an extra, but it isn't technically a sexuality. It is called a romanticism. Romanticisms are different than sexualities. While I am asexual, I am panromantic. I could fall in love with any human being. Doesn't matter what they look like, who they are, their own sexuality. I could just fall in love with anybody, but still keep that thing back in your pants. Now, aromanticism is the fact of, I just want to be friends. Let's be friends. I don't want to date you. That's basically it. Now, we have our white stripe. You might have a few questions though. Like, are asexuals and aromantics actually LGBT? If we think about it, yes, they are. LGBT is for those who are not heterosexual. We are not a part of the general norm. What this norm actually is if you are the gender you are assigned, if you are heterosexual, heteroromantic, you're just accepted. But with us, we really aren't. So we should be part of the asexual community, or the LGBT community at least. But despite people actually asking this question, a lot of them do not think we should be there because we are either classified as not straight enough or not gay enough, despite our romanticisms. Next, well, is asexuality actually due to trauma? So many people do believe this, and it's very upsetting. Asexuality is not always caused by trauma. The trauma could be something mental or sexual, but it doesn't mean that that's the exact cause. If this is the cause, I mean, still, either way, you're still valid. You're still an asexual either way. But lastly, this is a very, very common question, which is almost upsetting in a way. Can I be asexual if I have had sex, if I have had children, if I've been married? Yes. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter what you're going to do in your future. You're still asexual through and through, even if you don't know it. Oh, what happened? Oh, shoot. Thank you. Now is our community. While we are a very open and loving community, that doesn't mean we don't have a few problems. We are not discriminated against as gay people or transgendered people are. We are not as discriminated against them. There are problems that we do face, and it's not just asexuals, everyone on the spectrum is. Touching on very spotty things such as corrective rape, for one, which I will not go into for many reasons. Now, the sad truth is, nobody really knows who we are. It doesn't really matter who we are in the end to them. We're seen as either deficient in something, or we're seen as just oh, you're just being a prude. Really, that's not who we are. We are people. We just don't really want sex. So if it's irresistible, why don't we want it? Well, multiple reasons. But we are a tiny, tiny existence. But it doesn't seem like it. We are part of the 1%. Now, think of it almost like rich people. There's only about 70 million of us. It doesn't seem too small. That's still quite a tiny amount compared to, the entirety of the universe at this point. That's what it feels like. The 1% existences, something like the rich, something like internet culture, the people that actually create, and so much more. Like, it's so strange, isn't it? There's so little of us, but we're still so prominent. But honestly, although we are one of the most accepting groups, at least I'd like to think, it doesn't make us any less different. Some of us could still think one way or think the other, it doesn't matter. We're still people like you guys. Now, to go back through our flag journey at least one more time, we learned about the black stripe, asexuals, and their history. We went through the gray stripe that went through umbrella terms, things you probably never even heard of before, demisexuals and gray aces. Such a strange concept, isn't it? Next, we had the white stripe, with some questions you may have had or may not have had. Who knows? And lastly was our royal purple stripe, the community that I belong to and will always love. Thank you.